Hello, this is Jim and Angela, and you are on the Christian Life Empowerment Podcast. This is a podcast where we try to talk about everyday stuff that goes on in our life and ways that we can help other people find a relationship with Jesus Christ and grow closer to God ourselves. And that's why Christian Life Empowerment. We figure the more we can try to help others, well, the more we kind of help ourselves, huh? Isn't that how it works?
That is how it works. You try to teach somebody something and you learn yourself.
Oh, sometimes much more, huh?
Yeah.
So today we wanted to talk. Well, you came up with this thought that we're going to be talking about today, and what is it, Ange?
Well, it's the power of words. So recently, the last podcast we did together, we talked about self-esteem. And it just got me thinking about, what causes some of our self-esteem issues. And, the old adage when you're a kid, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is just so untrue.
Yeah.
And there's a song that's been playing on the radio recently that just ties right into this subject. And
why don't you read the first verse of that song?
So this is a song by Leanna Crawford, and it's called Mean Girls. And she sings, "Mean girls don't remember what they say, but it's funny because I can't seem to forget. Their whispers opened up the door to a world called insecure. No, mean girls don't remember what they say. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but no one ever warned me about words."
Oh, yeah. Boy, that's powerful, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, it just, I can remember things that people said when I was in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade.
Isn't that amazing? There's a lot of things you can't remember, but...
Yeah. But somebody makes a snide comment or, just is mean about what you're wearing or how you look or how you talk, and it just sticks with you, and I think it molds you.
I believe you're right, and the verse in that song got me. It says, and they don't even know what they say. How does that go? It says... Yeah,
mean girls don't remember what they say.
Because they don't even know they said anything wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't remember. People, sometimes we don't even realize that we've said anything that hurtful, but somebody else can take it and it can change their life.
Yeah.
It could literally change their life.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the South. I grew up right outside New Orleans. And when
Say that again?
See? Yeah, New Orleans. When I first moved to Oregon, I moved into Sandy. So small town. It was very small back then. And I was in middle school. And I got teased so hard for my Southern accent that I learned how to talk without it. And really, it only comes back when I say certain words like New Orleans or y'all. Y'all comes out a lot. Or when, I'm talking to my son who still lives there. Otherwise, I have adapted my speech because I was teased for my Southern drawl.
Wow, so it absolutely changed your life. It changed the way that you displayed yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, there's things you remember. I remember my dad. I love my dad, and he wasn't trying to be hurtful or anything, but I think I was 4 years old, right? And I believe now looking back, it was growing pains. But I just had these weird pains in my legs, and I would stretch my legs, and I would complain about it. And he would come in. He came in one time with a butter knife and said, "If you don't quit complaining, I'm going to cut your legs off." Now,
oh my goodness.
I love my dad. Don't get me wrong. A great guy, and he was just, he was joking. Of course, he would never do that. And he had a butter knife in his hand for crying out loud. He wasn't being malicious, and he didn't think nothing of it. But I'm 56 right now, and I remember that when I was 4 years old. I remember that. So yeah, some of this stuff just sticks with you.
Yeah, and it just, like I said, it shapes how you view yourself. It shapes how you interact with other people. It just, I've got scars from cuts and falls and stuff, and I only really ever think about them when I see them or like if it's hurting. Mm-hmm. But the words that people say, just, they're always with me. Another verse in Leanne's song talks about, picture frame. Says, the little girl inside the picture frame was smiling because she never heard of shame. But now mean girls are the reason why I change my clothes 1,000 times before I walk out the door.
Wow.
And I mean, for, any woman who's ever been told, wow, that does make you look fat, or, is teased for her clothes, I still do it. I'm, over 40, and there are times where I will change my outfit 3 times before church because of, that little voice from, 5th grade that's saying, wow, your legs are too wide, or, your butt's too big again. But yeah, just something that someone said, and now I question something as simple as my outfit.
Right. Well, and I have read studies where they have taken adults that were verbally abused as children. Mm-hmm. And they find that these adults have taken that from their childhood, and it still affects them. It even is more effect on a person than physical abuse, they found. And so you may know who you are, but if you're really afraid of hurting somebody's feelings or how they might feel, a lot of that sometimes comes from children that really didn't have great attachments when they were kids. So when they grow older, that attachment, they're always worried they're going to lose that attachment. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because then they overreact about, what's happening. And, oh, what did that text mean? Or what did this, And so, there's absolutely your words, especially to children. Oh, my goodness, to children. Mm-hmm. If you were verbally abusing your children or a child, what you're doing is you're potentially harming them for life. It actually changes the white matter in their brain. They found when kids are verbally abused, it changes their brain chemistry.
Wow. Yeah. So how do we change our behaviors? How do we change the words? How can we consciously be aware of what we're saying instead of just reacting?
Oh, that's a great question, because if we could just do it, we'd have just done it, right?
Right.
Just do it. Come on, think before you speak. Okay, I tried that.
I think,
and I'm still messing it up, right? I still say stupid crap. And
I think that part of the answer is in the question, is be consciously aware. And which is hard to be aware at all times of the words that are coming out of your mouth, because we are emotional beings and we react to things.
Yeah.
So I think I see it as building a habit. Like, if my habit, or if my first go-to when somebody cuts me off on the freeway is to curse and flip them off, that's going to become a habit.
Right.
But if somebody cuts me off and I just take one breath and say, okay, maybe they're in a hurry, maybe they're going, and just try to think before I act.
Right.
And I do that every time, or as many times as I can. Hopefully it will become a habit to not react and to actually think. Yeah, building those habits are important. Doing the same thing over and over. I think as Christians, we really have a, there's a lot of people that try to do the self-help stuff, and self-help is good, right? Yeah. Reading the books, doing doing the work, doing the, trying to better yourself. But Christians really have an advantage. We have Jesus Christ, right? Mm-hmm. And Jesus talked about being born again. And I know that phrase is thrown around a lot, but really becoming a new person. And God can help you to become a new person. I mean, I used to, before I, opened that door when Jesus was knocking so hard, right? He's knocking all the time. I wouldn't open it. I finally opened it. I tell you, before I opened that door, you couldn't hardly be around me and not hear the F-bomb thrown out.
And I think I've talked about this before, but after I just gave my life to God, it's like a switch flipped, and I'm no longer throwing out those 4-letter words. And boy, I didn't think I could ever quit, but somehow.
And was it pretty immediate?
It was immediate. It was amazing. Yeah, it wasn't like a slow thing. It was immediate. Every once in a while, I got to. When I'm around a bunch of people throwing out those words, sometimes. I'll accidentally let it slip, but for the most part, I can hit myself with a hammer and not let it slip. But so we've got that advantage as Christians to have God filling us with Himself and turning us into a new person, so that our attitudes and our thoughts and the way we look at life changes. I think the other thing is looking at somebody and not just thinking, we'll get over it. Because if you understand that somebody may be sensitive, and it's just like pain sensitivity, right? So some of us can handle more pain than others.
Yep.
Same thing with emotional pain. And that could come from our childhood or just our personality. And if we can realize that some people have suffered a lot of emotional pain, and we don't want to contribute to that, and understand, not just, well, get over it, walk it off. But realize there's some real pain there.
Yeah. Sorry, I was laughing because the phrase popped into my mind. I think it goes, not once in the world of calm down has anybody calmed down when you tell them to calm down.
No. That just ticks them off more.
Right. And it's,
tried that with my wife. Calm down, no.
Yeah. I think the other thing, in all seriousness, is you don't have to live in other people's pain, but don't brush it aside. If somebody tells you that, either what you said hurt them, or, I've gone through this, or is reacting in a certain way, they have a right to their feelings. And you don't know where those feelings come from. But you don't have to live in those feelings. You just need to accept that is the way they feel, and not try to, I guess, change that or tell them they don't feel that way.
Yeah. Empathy.
Yes, empathy. Trying to walk in somebody's shoes or understand where they're coming from. And if you don't understand, ask.
Yeah, because it's real pain. They did a study, and in this study they were looking at physical pain compared to emotional pain, and they had an MRI, right? So they were seeing which parts of the brain would light up, and they did a study where they put this thing on somebody's arm that was very warm, right? Like uncomfortably warm, like almost to burning. And then they were measuring with an MRI what that lit up in the brain. And then they took a person, they had 40 people, I guess, and they gave them pictures of their exes that had dumped them and asked them to think about that feeling. And it lit up the same part of their brain as a physical pain. So that emotional pain is real.
Yeah.
And you wonder, you wouldn't, most of us aren't going to go up and take a lit match and put it on somebody's skin, right? But we may put something in a Facebook post. And sometimes it's not even something directly against them, but it's something directly against something they strongly believe. And I don't know. There's, like you say, what do you do?
Yeah. And I think that's why I struggle a little bit when talking about Jesus and God the Father and trying to share him with people. How do you talk about a God who loves you, or a Father who loves you for who you are no matter what, when the person you're talking to, their earthly father, beat them? Or verbally abuse them.
Right.
How can you explain a loving father to someone who's never seen that or experienced that?
Yeah.
And my father never physically hurt me, but he was mentally I would say mentally abusive. I struggled so long to please him, to make him proud of me, and it bled over into all of my relationships until I met my husband. And I mean, he wasn't a bad guy. He was just, not a cuddling, I love you, hugging father. And so I struggle personally with seeing God the Father like that because I haven't physically experienced that here on earth.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And you're not the first one I've heard say that. I think that we're fortunate because we have Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Because you think about it, when the Israelites had a picture of God on Mount Sinai, what did they see?
Fire and thunder,
smoke, right? Okay, they seen the burning, the pillar of fire or the the cloud. But when after the cross, or not after the cross, but after Jesus was born, we see the woman at the well. Mm-hmm. We see the woman caught in adultery. We see this view of God that is. And maybe not God the Father, maybe it's more God the brother.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard people say, well, it's two different gods, or God changed from the Old Testament to the New Testament. Well, God is God, and he is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And Jesus said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father.
Yes. Yeah.
So God didn't change. I think people changed, and how he communicates with us changes. I know for God to get my attention is going to be different than how he gets your attention.
Yes, absolutely. And it has to be that way because we're so individually completely different that it's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so God's got to work individually different with all of us. But yeah, absolutely. God is working with all of us, and I don't know, Ange. What do we do to help those people that have been emotionally scarred? I mean, what do we, as far as being Christians, we should have a ton of stuff to offer people that have been emotionally scarred.
Yeah. I mean, and there are books and studies. I think for me, it is sitting down and actually sharing my struggle, my pain with somebody. I've found that if I can share my experiences and things that I struggle with, it tends to help people. I don't know if trust me is the right one, but if I tell you my story, it's easier, I think, for you to tell me your story.
Right.
Because it's a give and take. It's not just, you're not opening up to somebody who's just going to listen and walk away. Yeah.
That's a good point. It's important to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's important for people to know that you hurt too.
Yeah. I mean, just because we're Christians does not mean that our lives are perfect. And I think for a long time, I put on my quote unquote nice clothes and my smile, and I went to church and everything was fine. Somebody asked me, how you're doing? How was your week? Oh, I'm great. Everything's fine. Yeah. And inside I'm crying because I thought I had to be okay to go to church.
Yeah.
And yet, when I the first week I actually wore jeans to church. I was very hesitant to even go, but I could not bring myself to put anything else on. I was just having a day, and in the parking lot, I had a lady came up to me and say, I am so glad you wore jeans today. Thank you. I don't have a dress. I don't own a dress. And I wasn't sure if I could come in jeans.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, me having a bad day and affecting my wardrobe helped somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's, I think we have to be authentic. We can't shove our pain and our hurts and our struggles behind a smile.
Yeah, we have to be true to ourselves and let people around us know that we're sinners and we have pains and we cry and we have troubles. And if we're fortunate, we're not as emotionally vulnerable as some of the people that are coming into our congregations and into our lives. I know I have been so fortunate, and maybe my mother will hear this or maybe not, but when I was doing a little study on this and I heard about how children that are emotionally abused grow up with that, with having a hard time having relationships with other people. Mm-hmm. I was so happy that my mother was the loving mother that she was. Mm-hmm. And it gave me such an advantage. I feel that it gives me such an advantage because, I'm pretty thick-skinned.
Yeah.
And people like me sometimes that are thick-skinned think everybody should be thick-skinned.
Yep. And that's tough because you want to, I don't know. That's a tough one. I know I have a certain work ethic and I hold my employees to my work ethic and they're not at the same level as I am. So how can I hold them to my same standards?
Right.
So yeah, I totally get that when you grow up a certain way or you have a certain environment, it's hard to remember sometimes.
And wonder why people are having these problems. Mm-hmm. And thinking, well, walk it off, get over it.
Yeah.
And it's not that easy to get over. So give us the chorus out of that song.
So I smile and I pretend it doesn't hurt, but the older that I get, it just gets worse. Lord, find me and remind me that my worth is worth so much more than their words.
Yeah.
Yep. My worth is so much more than their words. And if you can, we were talking last time about looking at seeing yourself through God's eyes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where I see this song by Leanna Crawford. I see this going is if I can find my worth in God instead of the words that are coming out of people's mouths here on earth, mm-hmm. I will see that I am precious in His eyes.
Yeah.
And that will permeate me.
Yeah, you don't mark your value by somebody else's mm-hmm. belief in you or understanding or lack of.
Right.
And I think that goes towards the question we were asking before is how do we help people that are emotionally scarred and damaged? And maybe that last verse, we show them when we hold them up to Jesus and we say, look at how valuable you are to Jesus. Mm-hmm. Jesus came and he died on the cross for you. You have that much value that He would have died just for you. And if you're that valuable, don't worry about what that person said over there.
Yeah.
Or how you may think people feel about you when they look at you. Because the only thing that really matters is how God feels about you. And He thinks you're more precious than anything this world has.
Yeah, he looked at everything in this world and thought that it needed you.
Yeah. He
created you to be here at this time and this place.
Yeah. That's a great thought to end with, Ange.
I agree.
All right. Hey, well, thank you for hanging with us. And I hope that you can come back again. We try to do a podcast every week if it works out.
If it works out.
And subscribe. The subscribe button is right down below. You can also go to the website and go to the contact page and contact us and tell us what you think. You can leave a comment, but we hope to talk with you again soon or talk to you soon. Yeah. Unfortunately, you're not talking back to us, but if you leave a comment, you are. So we'll go from there. But hey, subscribe to this channel. Tell us what you think. Contact us if you can, and we will see you again real soon. So God bless.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.